the police bureau has assigned detectives to conduct further investigations of the extensive video evidence that's available on different social media platforms. And our goal and objective in that is to ensure, working with the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office, potentially even the United States Attorney's Office, to ensure that those engaged in violence in our city are held accountable for their criminal conduct.
The city again is in the national press for violent protests on our streets. What's the mayor's office as police commissioner going to do about that?
You know, this was a planned event. This was it was well resourced. The mayor was very explicit that the expectation was the protection of rights. You know, in Portland, and as Portlanders, we place a very high value on freedom of speech under the First Amendment, irregardless of the speech and irregardless of who it comes from. It's the nature of the First Amendment that, despite how objectionable it might be, that in our country that we have the freedom to express a whole variety of different views. The direction for the day was to ensure the safety of all who were in our core, to minimize disruptions that happened. And I think over the course of the day, we were largely effective in maintaining some separation of the different groups. There were a large number of demonstrators making their way throughout the city. Police were making an effort to be agile and flexible and respond in a timely fashion when and where the resources needed to protect speech and protect people. I know there'll be, a review. There's a review and discussion and debrief after every event, and I'm sure that will be true in this case as well.
There was a pretty high-profile assault of a man named Andy, and there was also a pretty brutal brawl between multiple actors on Saturday. But arrests haven't been announced in connection to either of those incidents. Do you think that having these kind of violent incidents occur over and over without arrests being made leads to more violence? People think they can act with impunity?
The incidents that you're referring to, there's one in particular involving Andy No, and there are at least a couple of others, as you've indicated. We did make arrests on 3 different individuals where we were able to develop probable cause, and we were able to pursue them in one case and apprehend them and arrest them, take them into custody to charge them with a crime. So 3 people have been arrested and held accountable for their criminal conduct. As I said before, the extensive video evidence and the witness evidence that is out there, we believe is going to be very helpful to us in identifying suspects so that we can make arrests in those cases. The Police Bureau is committed to thorough investigations that will result in holding people accountable for their criminal conduct, and the District Attorney's Office is committed to prosecute those cases. So there may be people in our community today who believe that they have anonymity from prosecution because they were wearing a mask or for any other reason, and our investigators have been very successful in identifying people and in arresting people, and I suspect arrests will be made in some of these cases, and hopefully very soon.
Well, we've had extensive video footage of events like this in the past, but very few arrests have been made, so what's different about this time?
Arrests have been made in past cases following these various demonstrations that have happened in Portland. And so there are more people that are arrested later. And so when and where there's evidence and when and where arrests can be made, they will be.
Do you have figures for how many people?
Excuse me, can I ask a question now?
Sure.
Mr. King, I'd like to address the milkshake tweet.
Sure.
I was there at the scene for hours and hours. I saw probably 50 plus people drinking those milkshakes. And the information that's been released to other reporters after that tweet makes it sound like one lieutenant maybe thought he saw something, but in the days afterward, we haven't had a single person come forward and say they were hit with any sort of quick drying cement substance. I don't think I've had a single person come forward and say that happened to them. So are you guys going to address, does the police bureau have a responsibility to say we put out false information?
Let me relay the factual information that I have about the milkshakes. We knew that going into this event that milkshakes were going to be thrown at people. During the course of the demonstration, there was, it is true, one lieutenant who made these observations. There was powdery substance. When a milkshake struck a person, there was an observation that appeared as if there was an irritation associated with the milkshake and the skin and the eyes that wouldn't be consistent with ice cream. There was also an odor. Anybody who's worked with concrete before or building supplies, in this particular case, the lieutenant believed that there was an odor that was consistent with a quick dry type chemical. And once that information became available at the scene, whether it was one milkshake or others, there was information that was relayed to the command post, and that information was shared with officers in an abundance of caution, because it changes the dynamic of being hit by a milkshake, whether it's ice cream or whether it's a more dangerous either substance that is a chemical or something harder that could injure you more seriously. So that information was shared for that purpose, and it was tweeted in the moment based on the information that was developed also to help inform the community about other potential risks. And it was relayed in an abundance of caution in real time based on the information that had become available. Now, a police report is being written about it, and that information will be available and will be released, I'm sure, by the Police Bureau as soon as it is available to be released. So that's the factual information that I have about the milkshakes, and I think at the time why the decision was made to share it both internally for officers for safety and by tweet in the community so people were aware and informed.
Was evidence collected by that lieutenant so that the Bureau can further investigate what exactly was in the milkshake?
I don't believe that any materials have been confiscated or are in our possession. However, there are reports that are being written by people from the demonstration over the course of the day, and so more information may be forthcoming about that. I just don't know that at this time.
So how can we know that this allegation is real and isn't just a rumor, and that the reports being made at this point aren't a response to what the Bureau tweeted?
Well, the observations, now again, I'm providing you with the factual information that was made available the day of the incident, and the fact that that information is being documented in a police report. So the officer involved in this particular case is going to truthfully state and share information in an official police report that they have from their experience. Opinions may later vary on this matter, but the officer will be truthful in the report that is written about this incident.
But there's no physical evidence.
At this point, I'm not aware of any, but there may in fact be physical evidence that exists. When it becomes available, I'm sure we will make it available, that information further available to people who inquire about it.
Did you mention to the other reporters that there was an anonymous email?
Oh, and in addition to that, one other fact, thanks for the, there was an anonymous email that I'm sure we can also make available that came in, I believe, the day of the demonstration. And it contained the ingredients of the milkshakes. And one of the items that was listed in the ingredient list for the milkshakes was quick drying cement. So that was just another fact.
I'm
that we
sorry,
had at the
that
time.
recipe said that they used soy milk, but the people on the scene used coconut-based ice cream and macadamia milk. This was an anonymous email. How credible do you think this is? Like, this email was also sent after the Bureau had tweeted the allegation that there was concrete mix in the tweet. Could this be fake?
Well, all I'm saying is, as I've indicated before, I'm just relaying the factual information that I have available. And the fact is that an email came in and it listed quick dry cement as one of the ingredients in the milkshake, which is why I'm relating it to you here.
Does the Bureau believe every anonymous tip that it gets?
Well, again, in this particular situation, I know there's lots of questions about the milkshakes and about the contents of the milkshakes, and all I'm really in a position to do is relay to you what I know to be true from that day.
What can you say about the union's statement today? They claim that the mayor has tied the hands of officers and are calling for him to remove their handcuffs so they can initiate strong and swift enforcement to stop the violence during these protests. Are their hands tied by the mayor's office?
The mayor's been he's been very clear about goals and objectives for events like this demonstration. Ensure that free speech is protected, ensure the safety of all that are involved, enforce all relevant laws as you're able to, when you're able to, and that direction has been very clear and made very explicit. And the chief also is, very much aware of that direction from the mayor, and is the direction from the chief of police as well. In these cases, there is an incident commander, there's extensive planning, there's documentation of what the plan is for the day, and at the end of the day, the expectation is that officers take action that, based on their training, education, experience, their discretion in the moment, they're able to take to protect people and to enforce the law. And that is, I believe, what happened on Saturday. When they were able to make arrests, they did.
When you say they're able to, so there's videos of extensive street fighting, brawls, people bleeding. At what point will police intervene?
In cases where they make an observation, either of injury or where they see a crime occurring, they will, and they do step in and they do effect arrests, as they did on Saturday. Now, every one of these demonstrations it's occurring in real time. They have to adapt to the situation. It's mobile. They have to have adequate resources to be able to respond effectively to whatever situation that they're going to, that they're intervening on. And so there are a lot of different factors in demonstrations, but when they can get there and they can act, they are acting and have acted at the demonstration on Saturday. There will be individuals in situations like this who will commit violent acts, and that is, in our community, that is not supported. And for the individuals that have engaged in criminal action and committed acts of violence, they will be identified and they will be arrested and they will be prosecuted for their crimes.
I'm curious if you could give the city and the police bureau a grade. You mentioned one of the goals is to keep demonstrators apart, keep everyone safe, but we still have violence yet again. How do you think, if you were to grade the city on this, what would you give them as a grade? How do you think you guys are doing?
The city, over the last handful of years, like a lot of cities our size, have responded to many demonstrations. And they have, as an organization, worked diligently to engage and be the most effective and responsive they can in every situation that they're in, engage in best practices, and do their very best in every demonstration they respond to in real time, assess the situation, make arrests, protect people. Now, again, there'll be a review, a debriefing, and as in every one of these cases, there's lessons that are learned, and there will be another demonstration in Portland at some point. And so all of the information gathered from this will be applied and used to be as effective as we can be in the next demonstration.
Do you think your response is adequate, though, for what we're dealing with? Because we do still see violence, injuries, as we saw this week.
Well, one of the unfortunate realities of some of the people who come into our city is we have seen as a community is not to engage in peaceful demonstration. They come in armed with weapons. They come in wearing combat helmets. They come in wearing body armor. They're demonstrating an intent to engage in criminal acts. And so we intervene when and where we can. Prior to, we'll make arrests of people that we think could be problematic the day of. There is a seizure of weapons that happens leading up to the event and at the event. These are large-scale events, and it requires a multi-pronged approach to best respond to and deal with it. Unfortunately, there are people that are committed to coming here and engaging in criminal actions, and that's true for our city as it is for other cities our size.
Just to follow up on Max's question, though, hands tied, yes or no, by the chief's office?
The mayor and the chief are both very clear. Enforce the law, ensure that the rights of all people are protected, and do work vigorously pursue the goal of ensuring the safety of all people.
So hands are not tied.
The mayor, again, and chief have been very clear that their expectation is that officers on the street are supported and taking actions that keep our community safe.
How about with the attack on the writer? There's video of him walking down the sidewalk, multiple people throwing multiple things. Where were the police? Why couldn't they swoop in and stop that?
I don't know, I'm not able to answer where they were, say, at that particular moment over a 6-hour period of time. I know that as they were becoming aware of clashes or where violence was erupting or occurring, they were putting together resources and responding to those areas. And I'm sure I watched that as everyone did. Acts of violence are unacceptable, and our job now is to, on behalf of this particular person, Mr. No, is to ensure that as a police bureau and as a city, we do everything we can to support him and others that were injured in the demonstration, and that we make sure that all of the effort that we engage in now is towards the goal of finding and prosecuting those that are responsible.
Can you tell us please about the police report, Mr. No?
I don't know.
What do you,
Sure, go ahead.
I was just curious, back returning to the milkshakes, you mentioned that there was a person whose eyes, were very red and irritated. Do you know if that was Mr. No or a different person?
I don't know.
Okay.
what do you make of calls from some national figures like Ted Cruz who are saying that Mayor Wheeler should be investigated?
You know, this is the demonstration that occurred here in Portland obviously is a local matter. There's a lot of different perspectives and opinions, obviously, from a lot of different people. I really came here today mostly to share the information that I have, factual information that we have available at this point. As more information becomes available, both the mayor and as well as the chief intend to share that with the community to help inform you about what we're doing in the wake of this of the violent acts that did occur.
At one point, the mayor tried to and proposed an ordinance that would proactively kind of take the teeth out of these things. Does that need to be revisited?
Well, the mayor, I know, was very committed to providing an ordinance and an opportunity tool, essentially, that would proactively help our city manage events that are like this that can turn violent. So I'm sure that there are going to be more discussions that will occur here in City Hall. I'm sure there are more discussions that are occurring in the Police Bureau and among the various law enforcement partners about what we can do, given what we saw over this last Saturday, to reduce the likelihood of the occurrence of violence in our city.
Why isn't the mayor or the chief speaking out? How come you are versus us? This is a pretty significant event. It's gained national attention, and we don't see the mayor or the chief speak after these events.
I think the chief, I think, will likely speak today. I'll leave that to her to decide that. The mayor did share information publicly, and I was asked to come out to relay information to you, and I'm sure and it may be the case that the mayor has more to say about this at another time.
Are you referring to the mayor's statement on social media?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks very much. My phone, you want your stuff back? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. I almost.